Okay, I think we're ready. Good morning, everybody. We've got a rather full agenda this morning, so I will ask for everybody again to try to hold their questions till the end. We've got a couple of speakers who have indicated they'll be available at the end for those questions, as well as maybe a little time afterwards once we conclude to come up if anybody wants to have a discussion with them. So without further ado, I want to talk a little bit about what we started last month, which was having folks come up for questions at the microphone. We are recording this session to post on the website. So to get the voice recordings on there and to get the questions on there, we need to speak into the microphone so that we can get that recorded and post it for everybody else who couldn't attend this morning. So if you would, bear with us and come up. If for some reason you can't get to the microphone, let me know and we'll get it to you. So, okay? Without further ado, I want to get into our agenda. Congratulations to our maintenance team, specifically the landscape maintenance team. We have some folks here from the Island Beautification Association. Susie Baldwin, Tom Kurtz, and Steve Tennant are going to make a presentation of an award to Larry. Larry, why don't you and the guys come on up? Steve, Susie.
Thanks for having us. I'm the chairman of the Island Beautification Association, a nonprofit organization that's been on the island for over 30 years. But what we've done and striving, our whole motto was to basically do anything we could and help in beautifying the island. So what had happened was, of course, as you know, the plantings on the medians on William Hilton Parkway were started by the Island Beautification Association, and as we got further along, we realized that all the private gated communities were doing a great job of help beautifying too. They'd always basically do a great job, especially around the Heritage Time, and making their entrances quite a beautiful situation for all of our visitors to see. So roughly 20 years ago, we decided that we ought to acknowledge this. And so we started a friendly competition of having all the gated communities, put them on notice that we were going to inspect their entrances and everything, and that we would make an award, a presentation, and an award to the one that won that competition of that year. And I'm happy to say that this year, Sea Pines Associates, or Community Services Associates of Sea Pines, were the winners, and we are quite proud of what the entrance looks like, and as it does today as well. So without further ado, I'd like to make this presentation and thank again for help beautifying the island. Thank you. Who's the guy? Who might do that for you?
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you. And it's a privilege. It's a great organization, and certainly has been great to receive that this year. The guys have worked really hard to improve the entrance and the landscaping out there, and a reward well worth the effort. Next up is projects, and wanted to give everybody an update on roads. These are still scheduled to be completed by June 20th, so we've got a lot of work going on Willow Oak Road, Sand Fiddler Road, Wood Duck Road, and Wood Duck Court. I think some of those are actually pretty well completed. Some are still in the process. A road scheduled to start by September 8th is Fraser Circle. We're doing some engineering, design work, and survey work still to get a design done, but we hope to have construction started after September 8th over there. And then another road project that is still up and is dependent on a timeline for a partial lagoon dredge is Beach Lagoon, and we're working on a few different things on Beach Lagoon to try to improve the system over there as well as the roadway. So once we get that lagoon dredged, we'll be in action over there, and we're having some challenges with some permitting as usual, and we'll see when we get that and we'll be able to start. So, okay, next on the agenda is bike path repairs for spring should be completed by June 19th. Fall repairs will start in September. The Stony Baynard Ruins Phase 3 should be completed by mid-June. And this is a project that we started over a year ago and has been going on. And the last part of that is a sign that is going up on the project, and it's going up with some controversy, and just wanted to let people know that it is. We've tried to work with everybody that's involved, and we haven't gotten agreement from everybody that's involved, but we do have a sign that we're going to complete and hope to have everybody be able to see that by mid-June, and then we'll review it again and see how things look and see if any adjustments need to be made to it. Beach walk repairs will be scheduled for September and October on boardwalks 11, 39, and 46. We have fence repair at the Ocean Gate, which is just repairing the old fence line out there in September. And then permitting process for the dredge portion of Beach Lagoon Canal is underway, and anticipate a permit probably late fall now, right, David? Based on what we see and hear from our permitting authorities. Okay. Upcoming community center events. We'll have our board meeting June 24th at 3 p.m. We are going to move that into this room, so we'll have additional seating for folks. In attendance, last meeting we had a pretty good sized crowd, so we want to make sure everybody's available and has some comfort, so we're going to move that out here. ASPO board meeting is June 18th at 9 a.m. And then the Ocean Course renovation communications by Carrie Corbett. We've got 3 set dates right now, and Carrie is here. But Thursday, June 25th at 4 p.m., July 1st for our community coffee. Carrie will be the speaker. And then Thursday, July 8th at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. And with that, I'd like to turn the podium over to Kelly Furta. Kelly is the general manager of the South Island Public Service District, and he's here to make a presentation, and then we'll be available at the end to answer questions. Kelly?
Well, good morning. How's everyone this morning? Good morning. Before we start, there's a couple people I'd like to recognize in the audience. We have 2 of our Board of Commissioners here, one of whom is J.R. Richardson in the back, if you'd stand up, and Ward Kirby here. And we have a staff member, Shay Somerville, who helped me put this information together for you. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you about our water system, some improvements we've made, some plans we have in place. We'll also talk about the sewage collection system and the wastewater treatment plan as well. So, first slide, please. A lot of people, when South Island was a product of a merger between the old Sea Pines Public Service District, Forest Beach Public Service District, and Long Cove and Wexford Utilities. And that happened in a 96, 97 time period. So we have about 25,000 customers on a regular basis, but as you all know, in the summer months that can increase quite a bit. The district provides water and wastewater services from the Cross Island Bridge to Fresh Market. Our service area includes all 4 plantations at the south end, including Sea Pines, Wexford, Shipyard, and Long Cove. We also encompass Pope Avenue, the Coligny area, North and South Forest Beach, and Point Comfort area. So just so you know, that's our territory. Next slide, please. Next, we're going to talk about the water system. I was asked to talk about the district's capacity for water and wastewater and some of the infrastructure that provides your drinking water. Currently, the district's average daily demand is about 6 million gallons, and then in the summer months, it can peak to 8.5 million gallons or a little higher. And the way we provide that volume of water to our customers is from 13 Upper Floridan wells. So those were all the original wells that the island used. They're only about 110 to 120 feet deep. We also have a very deep Cretaceous well, which is 3,832 feet deep. That well was constructed and feeds our reverse osmosis water treatment plant. A couple interesting things about the well: the water comes out warm, it's 118 degrees, and we cool it with plate and frame heat exchangers before it goes to the membrane. And another fact I think is interesting is our hydrogeologists on the project dated the cuttings when they drilled the hole, and they estimate that this water is about 71 million years old. So that's why sometimes we joke and call it dinosaur water. And then, okay, thank you. So I don't know if any of you have heard about the issues with saltwater intrusion. Because of we're in the zone of influence of the city of Savannah, and they pump a lot of water from the Upper Floridan. Over time, the levels in that aquifer are moving down, and some salt water is starting to come in. So in 2011, we contracted some consultants to develop a water master supply plan. And this plan maps out the district's water needs through the year 2050. So it talks about treating the water, the distribution system, piping improvements that'll have to be made. And this plan enables a district to be proactive in meeting current needs and future needs. As the salt water comes in, we will lose more of the Upper Floridan wells. Okay, next slide. As part of the master plan, we just completed phase 1. The plan is phased over out to the year 2050, so there's certain infrastructure we build at any given time. So we just finished 2 aquifer storage and recovery facilities, and I'll get into what that is in a minute. We also constructed a 2.5-mile, 16-inch water line, and that goes from the greenery down behind Hargrave telephone buildings. We also built a backup well for our reverse osmosis water facility into the Middle Floridan. And the phase 1 infrastructure costs were about $13 million. Okay, next slide. Now we'll talk about water storage. We have 1 2 million gallon above ground storage tank, which is at the reverse osmosis water treatment plant. We have 3 elevated storage tanks, which those are the big blue ones. You probably have seen those. We have 1 in South Beach, 1 down the road on Lighthouse, and then 1 over by our office building on Palmetto Bay Road. And then we have 2 aquifer storage and recovery facilities which hold 300 million gallons of water, which is a very large volume. Okay. Get my little pointer here so I can explain this. So a lot of people, when you talk about aquifer storage and recovery, they're like, well, what does that mean? What it means is we, can everyone, I need to move a little. Can you hear me? Am I talking loudly enough? We drilled a well, and it's about 680 feet deep. And what you do, the dark blue would be the native water, or the water that was, thank you. Oh, well, that's okay. There we go. Okay. And so if, for example, in here, if we wanted to store let's say 50 million gallons of water underground, we would pump in, we call it a water bubble, so we would pump in 50 million, which would be this buffer zone here, and then we'd pump in another 50 in this lighter area. And so when we store the water in the winter when the water demand is low, and then in the summer when we have more demand, we pull it out of the ground and put it into the water lines. And it's kind of interesting because we never take out more than this light blue area. So this water that we pump in as a buffer holds this water in place, and that water doesn't move throughout the geologic structures, it stays in place. And this is a technology that was developed in Florida, and there are ASR facilities that have been online since about 1987. But it's a very cost-effective way to store large volumes of water. And I don't know how many of you have seen our big storage tank at the wastewater plant, but that only holds 5 million gallons. And we're storing 300 million gallons underground. So, okay, next slide. Okay, so what are some of the issues that the district is facing regarding its water? As I said, saltwater intrusion into the upper Floridan aquifer has been documented since the 1970s. In 2009, we lost one of our wells. The chloride levels got high enough where we had to take that well out of service. And as Savannah and the surrounding areas have developed and increased the groundwater usage, the pressure on the upper Floridan, the water levels are coming down and allowing some salt water to mix with the fresh water. Okay, next slide. This is just a little schematic that shows you what's happening if this is the city of Savannah and there's surficial aquifers, and the more wells they put in here and pump, it creates negative pressures in the aquifers. And then you have the salt water. You see where the fresh water will interface with the ocean water. There's a freshwater, saltwater interface. And as the levels in those aquifers drop, then the salt water has a chance to move in. Okay. I was also asked to talk about our system capacity. As I said, our customers use about an average of 6 million gallons a day. And with recent improvements, our facilities can produce an average of 11.5 million gallons a day. And over here, you'll just see a little map. Part of that water supply study, they mapped every single major water line and checked flows and pressures and how much water could be delivered to different areas in our service area. So this is a picture of the inside of our reverse osmosis water plant. It can efficiently produce 3 million gallons of water every day. And you see these long white tubes. These are vessels, and the membranes are actually inside these vessels. And one thing I would like to say, I know a lot of people have the misconception that reverse osmosis treatment is very expensive. And we're producing water for around 60 cents a thousand. And I know some customers that buy treated surface water from a utility off the island, they pay like $1.68 a thousand. So we feel that the water quality is excellent, it's cost effective, and we really love this plant. It's been online since 2003. Okay, next slide. Okay, let's talk about our rates a little bit. Our residential rates start at $1.08 for 1,000 gallons of water. And our water and sewer rates are among the lowest in all of South Carolina. And the district has the authority to levy taxes, but we do not. So all the customers that live in our district do not pay 1 penny of tax for any infrastructure we provide and have to build and construct. What we do, rather than issuing general obligation bonds, we issue revenue bonds, which are guaranteed based upon our fiscal management and our ability to bring in revenue and pay for operating and maintenance costs and debt service. So we really try to run efficiently, and we're very proud of the fact that we're able to do that. Shay did this picture for me, which I thought was great. So for $1.08, you get 1,000 gallons of clean, delicious drinking water. And just to kind of give you a visual of what that would be, it'd be 3,785 bottles of water. Okay, so what is happening in the future with the water supply? Over the past 20 years, the district's probably spent about $33 million to develop supplemental water supplies, which would be the Cretaceous Aquifer in the Middle Florida, build the reverse osmosis water treatment plant. And the district is right on the forefront of technology, and we're addressing all of our issues proactively. It's not something we sit on our hands and all of a sudden we say, oh, we have a problem, what are we going to do? So we're always looking out 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So we're maintaining, further developing, and protecting your water supply in an efficient manner. Okay. Now this is kind of an unusual word if you're not in the industry. The collection system is a series of pumps, gravity sewer lines, force mains, manholes. And what it's designed to do is to collect we call it wastewater, most people would call it sewage, and pump it to the wastewater treatment plant. Okay, next one. Our entire collection system includes 815,000 feet of pipe. That's over 100 miles of gravity sewer. The pump stations we have a total of 97, and I broke this down because something that Joe asked me to do. He was interested to see what pump stations were associated with different areas. So what was the old Sea Pines Public Service has 59. What was Forest Beach Public Service, 24 pump stations. Long Cove has 8, and Wexford has 6. Something that we do that most people aren't aware is we inject an oxidizer into the sewer lines at various points, and that's to help mitigate odors, and it also prevents corrosion. We use a chemical called bioxide. And we also have a couple of stationary air scrubbers at some of the pump stations. Okay. This is a big truck we purchased 3 years ago. And this is a big vac truck, and we use it to inspect and clean sewer lines. So we have an ongoing program where we go out and inspect gravity sewer lines, we clean them, we get the dirt out if there's roots in them. And that's another way we're proactive. We don't want to wait till there's a blockage and something's overflowing. We try to, and we know certain areas, are more prone to problems. I know before the Heritage, we go down to Harbor Town and clean everything spick and span. No, it's not because it's a problem, but we know there's going to be a lot of people there, and we want to make sure everything's flowing in the right direction. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is kind of interesting. In the past couple years, we retained a company called Red Zone. And what they did is they have these little robots. This is on a track, and this is a camera. And the company came in and put them down our sewer lines, and they crawled down every inch of gravity sewer line and took high-definition images of the pipe and the infrastructure. And then we used that information to help us plan our capital budgets or find if there were problems in certain areas, and it's pretty interesting. And the next slide, you'll see a picture here. This is the camera going through the sewer line here. And then they can also, depending on the type of pipe and the diameter, so their company have engineers that go and they actually coded this so that we would know, hey, these are the number one priority that need attention. Here's medium priority, low priority. And so we were able to do a lot of point repairs, and we also lined a lot of sewer lines. So it was kind of an interesting project. Shay headed that up for us. And okay, so now we're going to talk about the wastewater treatment plant. And I did bring a little bottle of reclaimed water that I would like to pass around, because when I talk about what the wastewater treatment plant does, and most people know it's used on the golf courses and some other areas, but they'll say, oh, is that the gray water? What is that really? So I would like to pass this around so you can really see the high degree to which it's treated. And this is the water that goes through our reclaimed water system. So if I could just start it over here. Sure. Okay, next slide. It wouldn't take much to make it drinkable, but don't drink it. Okay. Our wastewater treatment plant is really the only fully reclaimed water system in the whole state of South Carolina. We serve 7.5 golf courses, and people always say, where's the half a golf course? It's in Shipyard. They have 27 holes. And then we have about 130 commercial irrigation customers, so big hotels and condominiums. Your front gate where you just got your award in the circle is all reclaimed water. Harbortown, where Cary is, they love the reclaim. They put it where they can, and it's great for us, and it's wonderful that we're able to recycle that water. So annually, we recycle about 380 million gallons of reclaimed water. And that can vary a little bit up or down just depending on the weather and the demand. Okay, next. And then, how many of you in here have ever been out to the forest preserve? Okay, the little area that's called Boggy Guyte, you know where the boardwalk is, through the middle of that. Before we started putting reclaimed water out there, they used to mow that with a lawnmower. It was dry, there was no wildlife out there. So in 1983, the district embarked upon a program to restore the wetland back to its natural state using reclaimed water. And so it's a 104.25 acre tract, and it gets about 440 million gallons of reclaimed water a year, and it's the oldest natural wetland restoration program in the whole Southeast, so we're really proud of it. Now we want to talk about capacity of the plant. So over 900 million gallons of water is recycled every year. And our facilities are designed to treat and recycle 5 million gallons of water each day. And our current average demand is about 2.5 million a day. In the summer, it might be 3.5, 3.6 million. So you can't just design for an average day, whether it's water, wastewater. You have to take into account peak flows in the water system. You have to be able to provide for fire protection. And our wastewater treatment facilities employ state-of-the-art technology. We'll talk about a few improvements that we're doing at the wastewater plant. We recently finished construction on our new solids handling facility, our laboratory facility, and maintenance building. Currently, the front part of the treatment plant that we call the headworks, which includes screening, grit removal, and we're also putting in a new dual-phase odor scrubber. And that's when the water first comes into the treatment plant. The district treats 2.5 million gallons of wastewater daily and operates the only fully reclaimed water system. I've said that. Here's a photo of the new laboratory. In this laboratory, our technicians and analysts go out and collect a variety of samples. They monitor for organic content, they do bacteriological tests, biochemical tests, and chemical. And they monitor different areas of the treatment plant. They do all the drinking water monitoring, and I know one time I counted, and we do about 50,000 analyses a year, so that's quite a bit. But we're happy to have our new facility. I was also asked to talk about odor issues. So the district has an odor abatement plan, which is reviewed and updated annually. And the point of the plan is to outline best management practices for the people that work in the plant, and it outlines ways in which to mitigate odor. So there's a whole program in there that they follow every day. Okay, next slide. We also use these computerized, this right here is a computerized odor logger. So we can put this in a pump station, down a manhole, somewhere in the treatment plant, and we'll leave it there for maybe a day or two. And then we take it out, and this connects to a computer, and it'll download all the data. So it's monitoring hydrogen sulfide, and it can take a reading like every 2 seconds. And then we can look at the data and say, do we need to make any adjustments to the chemicals we're adding, or do we need to increase oxygen that we're supplying? So we're always looking to stay in a good operating window. So this is just one of the tools we use. I'm very excited about this. Sometimes people tease me that I'm excited about wastewater, but I really am. So as part of our Headworks upgrade, we're going to be installing a new air scrubber, and you can see it here. This is the structure, if any of you have ever driven by the plant or been in. It's the first one you see as you drive in. And this, actually, the contractors are constructing it now. It costs $250,000, and it's a dual-phase air scrubber. So what will happen, this is a little schematic, if you have odorous air, it goes through a bioscrubber, which actually uses bacteria to break some of the items down. Then we have a chemical scrubber. Here's a fan that helps to pull the air through. And then lastly, a carbon, which is granulated activated carbon. So there's actually 3 different areas here, and then the treated air comes out here. Okay, so in closing, just to wrap up some of the things we've talked about, in the last 20 years, the district has spent about $33 million on our supplemental water supply improvements. And in the past 3 years alone, we've spent $13 million with our phase 1 infrastructure improvements. And in the past 4 years, we've spent over $6 million on the collection system and upgrading the treatment plant facilities. Okay, next one. So I just want to leave you with this thought that we really continue to employ an aggressive capital improvement plan. We tried to maintain the very lowest rates to provide you water and sewer without levying taxes. And we operate some of the most technologically advanced systems in the industry. So what I would like for you to take away this morning is I want you to know that you have a hard-working board of commissioners. And we have a terrific staff that has, I think, last time I looked, 46 different environmental licenses to operate the water system, the water distribution system, the treatment plants. So we have a very well-trained and qualified staff. I'm very proud of them. And we have the capability, knowledge, and foresight to provide service to existing customers as well as future projects or redevelopment. And that will conclude.
Thank you, Kelly. And Kelly is going to be around for our Q&A session as well. And with that, I'd like to introduce Tom Dunn. And Tom, I don't think I got your official title, but you're the emergency man for the town of Hilton Head. So, Tom, come on up.
Good morning. Like I said, my name's Tom Dunn. I'm the Emergency Management Coordinator is my official title for the town. I've been with the town about 3 years. My circle is kind of backwards from everybody else. Yeah, I use the microphone. I don't like these things. I started in Virginia, born and raised, and worked for the city of Alexandria, so I started at the local level. Left there and went to work for the state of Virginia as the state planner. Didn't really like local or state government, so I worked my way back to the local government in Virginia and then eventually here. So I'm happy to be here, and I've enjoyed the past 3 years, so if you don't mind. I kind of wanted to show this slide because we operate a little bit differently than everybody else. I'm in the fire department, and every day I work for the fire chief, Brad Tadlock. The interesting thing about the way we're set up is once we get to a certain level in our emergency operations plan, we flip it over and he works for me. So it's kind of a unique setup, which could make the following Monday morning a little interesting, but so I like to show that because I report to him directly on a daily basis, and then we kind of flip spots when things begin to ramp up. Go ahead and keep hitting it. All right, so I know you guys are on a tight schedule, but I like to show the potential hazards. We're not only vulnerable to hurricanes, we're vulnerable to everything else. Pretty much any type of hazard you can identify, we are at some level of risk, depending on the event. Obviously, the hurricanes, our risk is a little bit higher. Terrorism, our risk is somewhat low, but it is potential. We obviously have a very large event here every year with a whole lot of people coming into a very open area to watch golf. So terrorism is a concern for us, and then with all the military installations in Beaufort County. One that people don't really talk about, don't really think about is earthquakes. We have earthquakes on a fairly regular basis here in South Carolina. Just a couple of months ago, there was one up west of Charleston. So we do have earthquakes on a regular basis. Normally they're very small, but there is a fairly large fault there that we need to be concerned about. So, don't take any type of event or any type of potential hazard for granted. We're susceptible to all of them. Okay. All right, you can go ahead to the next one. I'd just like to throw up the storm tracks from the previous year. I know hurricanes are the thing that everybody likes to talk about. So as you can see, the one to the far left was Arthur there at the end of the year, and it was relatively close. You take that same storm probably 10, 12 years ago, we may have been considering evacuation for that storm. The forecasting has continuously gotten better and continuously improved. So, we could have been thinking about an evacuation for that storm. Last year's forecast, I like to throw that up there because people always ask about the forecast. This is last year's. You can see what they forecast and what the actual numbers turned out to be. So for an educated guess, that was a pretty good estimate. I took a class at the Hurricane Center 3 years ago and asked the question, well, how do you guys go about making this estimate? And their answer was a little bit of science and a little bit of darts. So take that for what it's worth. 2015, you can see these predictions there. Two different versions. One is NOAA, or the Hurricane Center, and the other one is Colorado State, which is an interesting location for hurricane predictions. But they've been doing it for years, and their estimates are usually pretty close, or pretty much in the ballpark. So as you can see, we're pretty much at what they would say, quote unquote, a below average estimate. I think average is 12 for named storms. So that's just a hair below what the average is. But the caveat to this number is, it's interesting to look at, but forget it. It only takes one. One is the number that we need to be concerned about. So these are interesting to talk about, but when you see the Weather Channel kind of discussing them, don't focus a whole lot of attention. It only takes one. You can look at this forecast. Hurricane Andrew, when it hit Florida, the forecast was almost identical to that. So just be aware. There are two products that I want to talk about that the Hurricane Center is continuing and is new. The one on the bottom right is what they call a 5-day forecast. So you can see the numbers relate to a percentage chance of a storm forming, and it kind of gives you a little track. They won't call it a track, but that's essentially what it is. They'll say that storm has the potential to form inside that track over the next 5 days. So it's a good tool for us just to begin to think and to begin to look, and you'll see that pop up on the Weather Channel, and I forget the new channel that's out there, but you'll see the news talking about those. The one that I like and also concerns me a little bit is a test product that's on the top left. It's a storm surge warning, watch and warning product. It's in the experimental phase this year. they're going to release a graphic, a picture that looks like that, but no text document with it. So no explanation, which is a little bit troublesome, but it's there. So you may see that. I mean, it's a great tool, and I look forward to seeing that. But once they issue a hurricane watch, hurricane warning, those products will come out pretty close after that. So you'll see those things on the news, and that is potential of water above ground. So, and it's scaled based on color. So you'll see that. It's experimental, but that's out there. So you may see that on the news. Next slide. Yeah, just keep on going. It's a bunch of them. You just kind of pluck them on out. Evacuation supplies. Does everybody here have an emergency kit? Oh, that's not enough hands. Everybody, you should have some form of emergency kit or emergency plan to get out. That's just some of the things that you, if you don't mind going back one, that's just some of the things that you'll need. What I like to tell people who've never put a plan together is start like you're going on vacation. What have you got to have when you go on vacation? Exact same thing. You got to have all those things when you go on vacation. Except when you're evacuating for a hurricane or something else, you may need more of it. So start there and work your way through. Specialty equipment, anything that you need, take with you. All right, next slide, please. Critical paperwork. You just one more click and the rest of them should pop up. I won't read those to you, but it's a crazy list. What I do at my house is anything that isn't paper, we've got a filing cabinet, all the folders are in red. So my wife knows when that time comes, she just goes, gets all the red folders and puts them in the box to leave. It's just the way we do it. Whatever works for you. We also have everything electronically stored on a thumb drive at my mother's house in Virginia. So we've got 2 copies everywhere. A couple of them that I want to point out that may come in handy is, obviously, you can look on the top left, is adoption papers, depending on where you are in that process. That's a good document. And one that a lot of people don't think about is death certificates. I mean, if you've recently had a loss and now you've evacuated, there are some things that you can't do without proving that person is deceased. So that's one that a lot of people forget about. My mother, after my father passed away, she was traveling several months later, needed to do something and couldn't because she didn't have a copy of the death certificate with her. So that's just one of those documents to think about having on hand as you begin to prepare to evacuate and leave. You go ahead. Just really quickly before you leave, just don't forget the outside of your house. Shut off your gas, shut off your utilities, move your grills inside. Propane tanks are horrible. I mean, I don't know if you've seen pictures from Katrina, but there were propane tanks everywhere. You talk to some of the urban search and rescue guys, that's one of the things that slowed them down was the volume of propane tanks, small and large, just littered all over the place. And it becomes a larger problem from a hazardous materials perspective after the fact, as all of those have to be collected, contained, secured, and then moved. So bring those things into your house. And obviously storm hurricane protection, you want to make sure you have that in place. Okay. Evacuation, obviously we have one way off. So the key point there is there is still a piece of the lane reversal in place right now, because we have 3 lanes going off. They're not reversing lanes on the inbound side, with the exception of coming off the Cross Island. So if you're coming off the Cross Island, you'll go the wrong way until you get to Moss Creek, and then we'll bring you back over into those 3 lanes. So just be aware that if you come across the Cross Island, you're going to be moved back into the oncoming traffic. There's only two spots in Beaver County that they still do lane reversal. It's here, and then I'm having a brain cramp and can't remember the other one, but there is a small piece of lane reversal. The intent of not doing the lane reversal all the way out is, number one, is it's labor intensive. It's a massive amount of cones and extra personnel. And then with having those 3 lanes going out and 3 lanes coming in, essentially it still allows us to continue to bring resources in. Okay. Palmetto Breeze, I just like to throw that out there for folks who have transportation issues and can't get out. Palmetto Breeze has a special needs registry. They just call it a registry. So you can't get out of your house, so you need help to do that. You can register with them, and they'll send a bus to your house or a van to help you get out. Go ahead. The island, we supplement the county's evacuation plan. The county has a single pickup point on Hilton Head, and that's at the airport. So folks who are transportation dependent on the south end, it's kind of difficult for them to get to the airport. And it seems silly to catch a ride from somebody who's evacuating to drop you off at an airport to get on a bus to go somewhere else. So what we've done is we've created our own internal evacuation plan, and we've got multiple spots throughout the island. The Boys and Girls Club and Hilton Head Resort have permanent signs there, and there's a picture in a second. And then the rest of them will have temporary signs out, and then we'll either lease vans or we'll get vans from Palmetto Breeze, and our personnel will run the island and pick up those folks who are transportation dependent and take them to, you can go to the next slide, Hilton Head Airport for a trip to a shelter unknown. And that's the key point there, is if you decide you want to go on the evacuation bus, you are going to a shelter and there's no clue where you're going to go. It's not like you get on the bus and you know, I'm going to Barnwell. They take you wherever there's an open bed in a shelter. All right, you can go hit the next slide. And that's the sign that you'll see at the Boys and Girls Club and at Hilton Head Resort, and then their temporary signs will be at the other places along the way, just to help people know where those locations are. Obviously, you don't forget your pets. If you have a dog or a cat, you pack for them just like you would yourself. Your dog needs toys, your dog needs a bed, your dog needs food, your dog needs his meds, something to do in the car. So pack for your pets just like you would yourself. E-subscription. The town has got a subscription service that you can sign up for to get emergency information and emergency alerts from. We're doing stuff hurricane related to William Hilton Parkway is closed due to an accident. So you can go to the town's website. On the left-hand side, it says subscribe. You click on that, follow the instructions, and you can select either text messages and or email, whichever you prefer. The two that I would recommend are road closures and specifically emergency alerts, because that's the one that we'll send out information on. The one caveat to that is you won't get watches, warnings, and things like that from the National Weather Service. It won't come through that. The technology doesn't allow we have to manually put the message in. So, but if there's a tornado warning, by the time I get the message in, it's way too late, because it'll take 5 to 10 minutes to get that up, the message put in, make sure it's spelled correctly, make sure all that, and then send it out. So don't expect that type of information through this site. It's other stuff. Like the town, the town is doing this because the National Weather Service has issued a hurricane watch. Town hall will be closed because. That's the type of information that you'll get through that. And then specifically the road closures. That's been very beneficial to the folks that have, at least the feedback I've gotten so far, the folks that have gotten those messages. All right, you can go to the next one. And then I like to point out that there is a whole plethora of information that you can choose to get if you like. So there's multiple. That's only about half the list there. So if you can get any types of, and you can adjust that at any point. It's not password protected. You can just go in and change what you need to change. So. We're also on Twitter. When we send out an e-subscription message, the Twitter message also goes out with it. We don't use that as much. The policy at this point is only during disasters or emergencies. So we use Twitter. So you're not going to get inundated with information that you don't want. But if you use Twitter, that's a great way to get information as well. Okay. Finally, the town has an emergency permitting program, so you can you turn your as-built plans into the town, and if you decide you want to rebuild your house after a disaster exactly like it was, it expedites the permitting process. I recommend everybody do that, even if you have no intentions of building your house back the way it was, because it at least gives you an option if you want to speed the process up. So that's there, and I've got some hand dates that I'll leave on the table about that program, and it's also on the web. Our preparedness guide, everything that I talked about today, plus a whole lot more, is in our preparedness guide. It's English and it's in Spanish. It's also available on the website in a PDF version. You can print it out there. It's designed in the front. It kind of provides you information on all the hazards we're susceptible to, and then the back half of it, it's actually a checklist where you can check the box on things that you've added to your emergency kit. You can add those phone numbers for your doctor, for your evacuation site. You can write it all in the book and then lay it in your kit, so it's all right there together in one spot. And I'll have copies of those available as well. You can go ahead to the next slide. Re-entry. That's the one key thing I'll say there is patience, patience, patience. It's obvious where we are. We're on an island, and we're at the dead end of the road. So we're going to be one of the last to get resources because we're the furthest away. So just be patient. Coming from multiple places and seeing multiple debris management plans, we have one of the better that I have seen. I think we have a really solid debris management plan, and our engineering division had nothing to do with it, but they've got a nice plan put in place. For smaller storms, depending on what they are, we'll have resources here on the island and a debris contractor on the island. We're not leaving. We'll be in 3 firehouses depending on smaller storms. So as soon as that storm's over, we're pushing roads and we're trying to get things open. If we're off island, it's going to take us longer to get here. I mean, depending on the size of the storm, we may be in Barnwell, that far away to take our apparatus, that far away. I get asked a question a lot of times, why that far? But, a fire engine is $500,000. Do you want to take a chance of having a bunch of trees on top of that? You're looking at $750,000 for a ladder truck to replace it. So we need to get that fleet and all those vehicles out of this area to make sure they're not damaged so we can still use them to bring them back in. And on top of that, we need to make sure our personnel are safe. So you can see the phone number there. That's a reentry hotline. You can call that number, and we'll be putting information on there about when the town is open, when we're allowing people to come back. A very quick caveat on there, and I'll move on, is just because the governor lifts the evacuation order does not mean the town is open. All right, the mayor can hold the evacuation for the town until essentially he deems it safe for us to begin to come back. Now, that's not going to be a willy-nilly out of the blue decision. That's us presenting to him the information that we believe and the time that we need in coordination with the public service districts, in coordination with Palmetto Electric, in coordination with the hospital to make sure we have the resources we need for you to safely come back. And if something happens, we can take care of you once you get here. So patience, please. All right, I think that's it. That's my contact information. I'll put all of our flyers over there, and I also have it's called a tube kit. Some of you may have gotten them last year. It's just a drink of water, some gloves. It's designed as an emergency kit for your car. So if you like one, just I'll have them over here. Just please grab one, and I'll be available for questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Obviously, we're running pretty long here, so we've still got Toby and Jennifer to go. So, Toby, if you want to go ahead and head us off.
Good morning. I'd just like to add something following Tom. We and the town of Hilton Head and the citizens here are very fortunate to have someone like Tom Dunn. I can tell you he has been a wealth of information for me. In the event we have something, I am directly connected with Tom to get information. He comes with a great deal of experience, and he's been a great help to the town. So Tom, we really appreciate all your help and all that you do for the service of the town. One quick update. Last Saturday, we had a visitor here, which we're getting a lot more of those, as you well know. Witnessed someone break into her car. We were able to track this individual down. They were subsequently arrested, stayed in jail for a couple of nights. So I asked please be cognizant and aware of what's taking place in and around the plantation. The first time I'm being told that the subject has been arrested for breaking into a car, but it was here as a contractor working inside the plantation. I think many of you probably seen the deputies in here during the traffic stop, but we did make an arrest, and we're still working with the sheriff's office and hoping to get some more information out of this individual about other events that have taken place here inside the plantation. Just a quick update on Tower Beach. A lot of you are not aware, but there has been a change in Tower Beach for the holidays. There are certain times during the holidays that parking at Tower Beach will only be permitted for a property owner only, property owner's vehicles, or for relatives. Let me explain this real quick. Relative decals will not be permitted on the holidays to park at Tower Beach unless the property owner is inside the vehicle with an ID card. So it's two ways to get in. Your vehicle with a property owner decal, or you in the vehicle, any vehicle, rental car, whatever, with your property owner ID card. We're trying to restrict that for the holidays to allow property owners a chance to get into Tower Beach because, as you well know, we're limited in the parking. And in addition to that, you would not be able to rent the Tower Beach Pavilion on a holiday weekend. We want to keep it open for the property owners so you guys can enjoy that. And I think that's all we have. Property owner decals still going very good. We've issued about 4,500 so far, so that process is well underway. We have repaired all the bike gates coming into the plantation. They are also RFID accessible, so the current ID card that will be issued, the new one, will also get you into the 3 gates, 2 at the front gate, 1 at the back. They have been replaced, so we're incorporating this technology in and where we can do so. And that's all I have. Thank you, Brett.
Thanks, Toby. Jennifer? Go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you. A couple of things I just wanted to remind everyone of. We've talked about this at past community coffees, but in case you weren't here, if you're having problems finding things on the website, the best advice I can provide is that the members area page, which is the page that you land on when you log in, if you go to seapinesliving.com and you go to the login, once you log in, the page you are on is called our members area page. I try to treat that like our daily newspaper, if you will. So all of the latest and greatest information from CSA is going to be on that page, and that is updated weekly. So for example, if we have a board meeting that week or a community coffee that week and there's an agenda for that meeting, it will be on that members area page. Anything else that's a priority, a link to the vehicle decal registration page is also there. A link to the new schedule for Tower Beach parking, the holiday schedule is on that page, and anything else that's sort of new and very relevant is going to be on that page. The next best way to find what you're looking for is there is a white search bar at the top of the website. All you have to do is type in 2 words there, what you're looking for. The digital copy of the emergency preparedness guide that Tom spoke of is on our website. You can download that to your computer or print it at home. You just search emergency preparedness in that white search box on our website, and it will take you to that PDF document. Again, Tom has some copies of it as well. I think Toby's going to arrange to have some copies of the emergency preparedness guide in or at the CSA office, and I'm not sure if they're there yet. I think they are, so you can stop by and pick one of those up. I also just wanted to make you aware that our summer newsletter is here. Yay! This year we went to only publishing the newsletter 4 times a year, so that's a little bit of a change. We used to do 6 and now we do 4. We do a spring, summer, fall, and winter. And so the summer newsletter has information about a lot of the things we're discussing, has updates from all of our committees, has information about emergency preparedness and tips on what to take with you. It has information about all the events, the calendar of when our board meetings are, when our next 2 or 3 community coffees are, and things like that. If for some reason you're not getting information from us, if you're not on our email list, if you're not getting the newsletter in the mail, please give us a call at the CSA office and make sure we have your contact information. At the last community coffee, I spoke about a property owner survey that we're going to be doing in September. The way you will get an invitation to take the survey is by email. So it's really important that we have your email address, and if we don't, give us a call, and we'd like to hear from you. One last thing, we have added a new feature to the website. It's a property owner feedback form. A lot of you have great ideas, you have suggestions, sometimes you have complaints. It's really important that we get feedback from you and learn a little bit about how we're doing. And so if you want to access that form, it's under the contacts tab of the website, or you can just go to cpinescomments.com, and that will take you directly to the property owner feedback page, and you can submit some comments or suggestions or accolades, whatever information you'd like to share with us. We'd like to hear your feedback. And that's it. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thanks, Jennifer. Just a quick reminder, we are running late, I understand. Any questions that we have, if you could come up to the microphone and just ask the question, and we'll try to do the best we can to answer. Yes, ma'am.
I have been coming to Hilton Head 53 years. I am tired of being locked out with the long traffic line coming out of Sea Pines. Every summer I have to allow 30 minutes extra to get to an appointment. And I don't know what you all can do about this, but the people beyond us, once we're gone, and you get a university here with 200 students coming out at 3 in the afternoon, where is that going to take us? My name is Rosalind Reeser, and I have a great concern about all of the traffic and the over-marketing that seems to have taken place with Hilton Head. I know things can't stay the same, but we need to do something about our traffic.
Thank you. The quick comment on that, we are diligently working with the town. We have engaged a traffic engineer to help us with the gate and the entrance and exit. We are looking at different counts. We'll be doing counts with the town, and we have expressed the same concerns to the town about traffic specifically, and are working with our town council person as well as town staff to try to get the best solution that we can on traffic, knowing that we've got some constraints. But it's a big concern for a lot of people, and we recognize that wholeheartedly.
Eleanor DeSole. I live on the ocean, and about a week ago I received a letter from CSA, and I don't know if it only went to oceanfront properties or not, but it was concerning boardwalks. And you were trying to clarify what we can and cannot build or replace. However, the letter was complex, to say the least. It introduced a new organization that I was not familiar with. And my comment, more than a question, is a picture would be worth 1,000 words. If you could educate the Sea Pines community about what is permissible and what is not, it would be appreciated, because I couldn't understand your letter.
Right. Understand. You know, it's an interesting letter that we sent out, and it was to oceanfront property owners, and it specifically referred to state regulation, local regulation, our own covenants, a variety of different authorized agencies, and of course when you start doing that it gets pretty complex and pretty concerning. But basically the beach trust, which is the land seaward from the property owner's line to the high water mark, is the beach trust, and we have trustees who are also basically the executive committee. They're also the Forest Preserve board, and they administer that beach trust. We've had issues that have arisen related to boardwalks and compliance with those regulatory requirements on those boardwalks. And we've tried to take an extremely complex situation and boil it down to a policy which is still pretty darn complex, and it refers to a lot of different references. But by and large, the objective is to provide boardwalk access from homes to the beach. And the various regulatory requirements are restated in that policy. The key to it, I think, is to look at those, to work with permitting on that through the town as well as through the ARB. And those are the two entities that are primarily required